Ambassador Kim Hannah stood at the large window of the spaceship, watching the massive space station grow bigger as they got closer. Her heart was beating fast with excitement. After so many years of preparing, humans were finally going to meet other intelligent beings from across the galaxy. The spaceship was called Harmony's Dawn, and it carried the most important mission in human history. Kim Hannah had been chosen to speak for all of Earth. She was nervous but also very hopeful. Today, humans would ask to join the Galactic Concordat, a group of 12 different alien species who had been living in peace for hundreds of years. Ambassador, they are letting us dock now, said Park Jin-ho from his seat at the communications panel. His voice was calm, but Hannah could tell he was excited too. Hannah nodded and looked at her reflection in the window one more time. She wore her best diplomatic clothes, dark blue with gold trim that represented Earth. Behind her, carefully packed in special containers, were the gifts that humanity wanted to share with their new alien friends. The gifts were amazing. Human scientists had created medical machines that could find diseases before people even felt sick. They had prepared thousands of songs, paintings, and stories from every culture on Earth. Most importantly, they had developed new technology that could heal terrible wounds and help people grow back lost body parts. These gifts could help millions of beings across the galaxy. Captain Lee Minho walked over to her. He was the pilot of their ship and had been her friend for many years. The alien delegation is waiting for us in the docking area, he said quietly. All 12 species are there, just like our spies told us they would be. Hannah felt a little scared but also proud. The Galactic Concordat was very powerful. The Zephyrians looked like giant insects and were the best warriors in the galaxy. The Kethver were made of living crystal and were very smart diplomats. Together with 10 other species, they had created the most successful alliance anyone had ever seen. Remember everyone, Hannah said to her team, we are coming as friends who want to help, not as people begging for favors. We have many good things to offer them. Dr. Cho Soong was checking his medical equipment one more time. He was Earth's best doctor and had volunteered to come on this dangerous mission. The healing machines are ready, he said. If these work as well as they did in our tests, we could help cure diseases that these aliens think are impossible to heal. Engineer Song Woo was nervous about the technology they were bringing. I hope they understand that everything we are giving them is meant to help people, he said. Some of this technology is very powerful. The docking process took 30 minutes. When the doors finally opened, Hannah got her first look at real aliens. They were amazing and scary at the same time. The Zephyrian general was taller than any human, with 4 arms and huge compound eyes that seemed to look everywhere at once. The Kethver diplomat looked like a walking statue made of blue crystal that sparkled in the light. Welcome to Station, said the crystal, being in perfect English. Their voice sounded like wind chimes. I am Velanash, speaking for the Diplomatic Council. This is General Clickstar, representing our military forces. Hannah bowed politely, the way she had practiced hundreds of times. Thank you for meeting with us. I am Kim Hannah, Ambassador for the United Earth Government. We are honored to be here. The first part of the meeting went very well. Hannah showed them the medical scanners, and Velanash seemed very interested. The crystal alien held the device carefully and asked many smart questions about how it worked. Your people are very clever, Velanash said, making their crystal body shimmer with what Hannah hoped was approval. These healing machines could help many worlds in our alliance. Dr. Cho Sung demonstrated how the tissue regeneration technology worked. He showed them videos of people who had lost arms or legs growing them back perfectly. Some of the aliens made sounds of amazement. General Clickstar examined the cultural archives, listening to human music and looking at paintings. Interesting, the insect warrior said. Your species creates beauty even while preparing for war. Hannah felt confused by that comment, but she smiled anyway. We believe that art and music bring people together, she said. We would love to learn about your cultures too. But Dr. Cho Sung noticed something strange. His medical scanner was also reading the aliens' body language and stress levels. Even though the aliens were saying nice things, their bodies showed signs of tension and worry. Something was wrong, but he could not figure out what. As the formal meeting ended, Hannah felt very optimistic. The aliens had accepted their gifts and seemed interested in working together. They talked about sharing knowledge and maybe even having human students learn on alien worlds. We will consider your request to join the Concordat very carefully, Velanash promised. You will have our answer soon. As the human delegation returned to their ship, they felt proud and hopeful. They had no idea that at that very moment, the Alien Council was meeting in secret to discuss what they called the human problem, and friendship was not what they had in mind. 3 weeks had passed since the first meeting, and Ambassador Kim Hannah was back in the same room on the alien space station. But everything felt different now. The air seemed colder, and the 12 Alien Council members were looking at her with unfriendly eyes. Her stomach felt sick with worry. After much thinking, said Velanash, the crystal alien diplomat, the Concordat has made a decision about humanity's request to join us. Hannah held her breath. Behind her, Engineer Song-woo and Dr. Cho-sung waited quietly. They had all been hoping for good news. We have decided that humans need a very long testing period before we can think about letting them join, Velanash continued. Their crystal body was not sparkling like before. It looked dull and cold. How long? Hannah asked, though she was afraid to hear the answer. 500 years. The words hit Hannah like a punch to the stomach. Song-woo actually took a step backward. In shock, 500 years meant that everyone alive today would be dead before humans could even ask again. General Clickstar, the giant insect warrior, clicked his mandibles together in what sounded like satisfaction. Your species has fought too many wars, he said with his buzzing voice. Your technology grows too fast. This makes us worried about the safety of all peaceful species in the galaxy. Hannah felt anger rising in her chest, but she tried to stay calm. But we came here in peace, she said. We gave you our best technology for free. We wanted to be friends. That is exactly the problem, interrupted another alien, a reptile-like creature with green scales. A species that can make such powerful weapons and then gives them away freely cannot be trusted. You are too dangerous. Dr. Cho-sung looked confused and upset. Weapons. The medical technology saves lives. It heals people. Velanash's crystal body flashed with red light, which Hannah now realized meant anger. Technology that can grow new body parts can also be used to make terrible weapons. The alien said coldly, your species loves violence. Everyone in the galaxy knows this about humans. We cannot risk letting you spread your violent ways to peaceful worlds. Hannah wanted to argue, but she could see it was no use. The aliens had already made up their minds. They were not interested in hearing about human art, music, or medicine. They only saw humans as dangerous animals that needed to be kept in a cage. As the meeting continued, Intelligence Officer Yoon Dae was secretly recording everything through tiny hidden cameras that the aliens could not detect. Human technology was much better than the aliens knew, and every word of this meeting was being sent back to Earth in real time. You will return to your home system immediately, General Clickstar ordered. Do not try to leave your area of space again. We are putting up a barrier to protect the galaxy from human aggression. A barrier? Hannah asked. Weapons platforms, Velanash explained, without emotion. Automated defense systems that will stop any human ship from leaving your solar system. This is for everyone's safety. The escort back to human space was polite but firm. 6 alien warships surrounded the Harmony's Dawn as it flew back toward Earth. Hannah sat in her chair and watched the stars. Feeling more sad and angry than she had ever felt before, Captain Lee Minho came to sit beside her. Look at the sensor. Readings, he said quietly, showing her his datapad. Hannah looked at the screen and felt her blood turn cold. Huge weapons platforms were appearing all around human space, like a fence made of guns and missiles. The aliens were not just rejecting humanity's friendship, they were making humans prisoners in their own solar system. They're not just saying no to us, Lee said grimly. They're locking us up. When they finally reached Earth, Admiral Baek Jun was waiting at the space station. He was the commander of all human military forces, and his face looked very serious. The first thing he said confirmed Hannah's worst fears. The blockade is already finished. He told them 67 weapons platforms, with more being built every day. Any human ship that tries to leave our solar system will be destroyed. Hannah felt like crying, but she was too angry. We offered them friendship, she said. We gave them our best technology. We wanted to help them. Admiral Baek nodded grimly, and they decided we were too dangerous to be allowed freedom. But what the aliens did not know was that humans had been preparing for something like this while the diplomatic mission was happening. Human scientists and engineers had been studying every piece of alien technology they could find. They had been building new ships and weapons in secret, just in case the aliens turned out to be unfriendly. What do we do now? Hannah asked. Admiral Baek looked out the window at the weapons platforms that surrounded their home. Now we show them what humans do when someone tries to put us in a cage, he said quietly. They wanted to see a threat. We'll give them one. The aliens thought they had solved the human problem. They had no idea that they had just created their worst nightmare. Captain Hongyu was the best space pilot that humanity had ever produced. He had flown to more star systems than any other human, and his ship Wanderer was known throughout the Earth fleet for its amazing discoveries. The ship carried no weapons at all, only scientific equipment and a small crew of 17 researchers who loved exploring the universe. Captain, I can see the alien weapons platforms on our sensors, said Navigator Jung Yuna from her control station. She was young but very skilled at finding safe paths through dangerous space. But there is a gap in their defense line near that group of asteroids. Han looked at the display screen that showed the alien blockade. The weapons platforms were spread out in a line around human space, like a fence made of deadly machines. Each platform was as big as a city building and carried enough firepower to destroy 100 ships. But Jung was right, there was a small opening between 2 of the platforms. It looks like they left that gap on purpose. said Dr. Kim Soo, the ship's expert on alien life. She was a kind woman who had spent her whole career studying how different species might think and behave. Maybe they want to see what we will do. Han nodded slowly. He had been thinking the same thing. The aliens were too smart to leave a real mistake in their defenses. They probably wanted to watch human ships try to escape, maybe to learn more about human technology or to have an excuse to use their weapons. Take us through the gap, Han ordered, but keep our power levels very low. We do not want to look threatening. The Wanderer moved slowly toward the opening in the alien line. Han had made this decision because he believed that if humans could prove they were peaceful explorers, not warriors, maybe the aliens would change their minds. His ship carried no weapons and was on a mission to study new planets that might be suitable for human colonies. What happened next would change everything between humans and aliens forever. The moment the Wanderer crossed the invisible boundary line, 12 weapons platforms activated at the same time. There was no warning message, no demand to turn back, no chance to explain their peaceful mission. The aliens simply started shooting with every weapon they had. Dr. Kim Soo barely had time to scream, "They're firing." Before the ship's bridge exploded around them, metal and sparks flew everywhere as the alien weapons tore through the Wanderer's hull like it was made of paper. Han threw himself over Jung Yuna to protect her from the flying debris, but it was too late. The alien weapons were too powerful, and the Wanderer had no shields or armor to protect. Against such an attack, the entire ship was destroyed in less than 10 seconds. All 17 crew members died instantly, including Han, Jung, Dr. Kim Ne, and the young navigator who had spotted the gap in the alien defenses. On Earth, Admiral Baek Jun was in his command center when the terrible news arrived. The Wanderer had been carrying an automatic emergency beacon that recorded everything before being destroyed. Admiral Baek and his staff watched in horror as the final transmission played on their screens. "They murdered them," whispered Commander Oh Min, his tactical officer. Her voice was shaking with anger and disbelief. It was an unarmed science ship. They just wanted to explore. Admiral Baek felt a cold rage building inside him. The aliens had not just killed 17 people, they had killed 17 of humanity's best and brightest. These were scientists, researchers, and explorers who had never hurt anyone in their lives. Intelligence Officer Yuan Day, Admiral Baek, said in a voice that was carefully controlled, "What are our spy networks telling us about alien communications?" Yun stepped forward with his report. "Sir, we have been listening to their radio signals since the diplomatic mission ended. They are celebrating what they call a successful containment action. They are also talking about making the blockade even bigger." Admiral Baek realized that the aliens were making a terrible mistake. They thought they were dealing with a weak species that would give up and hide after being threatened. They had no idea that humans had been preparing for exactly this situation. Since the first alien weapons platform had appeared, "Send a message to Director Park High at the Colonial Development Department," Admiral Baek ordered. "Tell her to activate Protocol 7. It is time to show these aliens what happens when they corner humanity." Meanwhile, the alien propaganda networks were already spreading their version of the story to planets across the galaxy. Aggressive human warship destroyed while attempting illegal invasion. The news reports said, Concordat forces successfully prevent human expansion into peaceful space. The alien leaders congratulated themselves on stopping what they claimed was a human military attack. They told their people that the humans had been trying to break through their defenses with a disguised warship, and that destroying it had been necessary to protect galactic peace. But the aliens had no idea what they had really done. They had just killed innocent people who were trying to explore the universe peacefully, and they had no idea that humanity's real military fleet was already moving in the shadows, preparing to show the galaxy what human anger looked like when it was fully unleashed. The murder of the Wanderer crew would be remembered as the moment when humanity's last hope for peace died forever. Director Park High stood in the center of humanity's biggest secret, a massive hidden shipyard floating in the cold darkness beyond Pluto. All around her, hundreds of workers were putting the finishing touches on warships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The facility had been under construction since the day humans first met the aliens, and now it was finally ready. "Give me a status report," she ordered, walking between the rows of sleek black ships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Chief Engineer Lee Soo looked up from his electronic tablet, his face tired but excited. 47 stealth destroyers are completely finished and ready to fly. 15 heavy cruisers are almost done. The new quantum engines are working even better than we hoped they would. Park nodded with satisfaction. While the aliens had been congratulating themselves on trapping humanity, human engineers had been working day and night to build a fleet that could go anywhere in the galaxy without being detected. "What about our spy network?" Park asked. Intelligence Director Yoon Dae stepped forward with a smile. "We have been inside their communication systems for 8 months now. Every alien military base, every patrol route, every secret meeting between their leaders. We know about all of it. They have no idea we are watching them." The aliens had made a fatal mistake. They assumed that humans were less advanced than they were, so they had not bothered to protect their communications very well. Human computer experts had easily broken into their networks and were now listening to every conversation. Dr. Cho Sung had taken the medical scanners that humanity had originally offered as gifts and turned them into perfect spy tools. They could now see through walls, read alien body language, and even detect lies by measuring stress hormones. Engineer Song Woo had studied the alien weapons platforms and designed systems that could destroy them without being seen. Most importantly, Dr. Kang Seo had solved the problem of instant communication across vast distances. The aliens had never figured out how to send messages faster than light, but humans had cracked the secret using quantum physics. Now human ships could coordinate attacks across the entire galaxy in real time. The funny thing is, Director Park said, watching workers install weapons on a new cruiser. They locked us up to prevent us from becoming dangerous. But being locked up was exactly what we needed to become more dangerous than they could ever imagine. On 12 different alien worlds, the Concordat leaders were having meetings about what they called the human problem. They had no idea that every single word they spoke was being recorded by human spy devices and sent back to Earth for analysis. Admiral Beak Jun arrived at the secret shipyard with his command staff. He looked around at the fleet of invisible warships and felt a mixture of pride and sadness. These ships represented the best of human engineering, but they had been built for war, not exploration. "How long until we are ready to move?" he asked. "Director Park. The fleet will be operational in 72 hours, she replied. "But Admiral, are we really going to do this? We are talking about challenging the most powerful military force in this part of the galaxy." Admiral Beak studied the tactical displays that showed alien military positions throughout their territory. "They killed our people for the crime of wanting to explore. They rejected our friendship and treated us like dangerous animals. The question is not whether we are going to respond, the question is whether they will survive what we are about to do to them." Commander Omin pulled up the strategic analysis on her computer. "Sir, their fleet positions show they expect us to try breaking through the blockade using brute force. They have gathered most of their ships at the obvious exit points from our solar system." "Then we will not use the obvious exit points," Admiral Beak said with a cold smile. "We will use routes that they do not know exist." The preparation phase was almost complete. Human scientists had spent 3 years reverse engineering every piece of alien technology they could get their hands on, and then improving it far beyond what the aliens thought was possible. The stealth drives did not just hide ships from sensors, they allowed the ships to travel through a different dimension where alien detection systems could not reach them. Dr. Kong, SEO, had solved the problem by thinking like a human. If you cannot go around an obstacle, you find a way to go through it using a completely different approach. "Sir," Intelligence Director Yuan Day reported, "we are receiving more communications from the Alien Council. They are discussing plans to make the blockade even stronger. They are also talking about sending propaganda messages to other parts of the galaxy, warning everyone that humans are dangerous." "Perfect," Admiral Beak said. "Let them think they have won. Let them believe they have successfully contained the threat. In 3 days, they will discover that they have actually created something far worse than anything they feared." The final preparations were being made. Soon, the Concordat would learn that their greatest mistake was not rejecting humanity's friendship, it was giving humanity the time and motivation to become the threat they had always claimed humans were. The first sign that something was terribly wrong was the complete silence. On the insect homeworld of Zephyrian Prime, General Clickstar was staring at his tactical display with growing panic. All 67 weapons platforms that surrounded human space had suddenly stopped sending signals at exactly 3:47 in the morning. No alarms, no emergency messages, no calls for help, just sudden, total silence. "Give me a status report immediately," he buzzed angrily at his communications officer, his forearms waving in agitation. "Sir, we have lost all contact with the blockade," the young officer replied nervously. "The maintenance signals, the tactical updates, everything, all platforms, have gone completely dark." General Clickstar felt a cold fear creeping into his compound eyes. In 300 years of Concordat military history, nothing like this had ever happened before. What General Clickstar did not know was that at that exact moment, Admiral Beak Jun was standing on the bridge of the stealth battleship Silent Thunder, watching his ghost fleet appear throughout alien space like deadly phantoms materializing from thin air. "Phase 1 is complete," reported Commander Omin from her tactical station. "All blockade platforms have been neutralized. No vessels detected our approach." Admiral Beak nodded grimly. The alien weapons platforms had been destroyed so quickly and quietly that they never had a chance to send a warning signal. Human stealth technology was far beyond anything the aliens had ever imagined possible. "Begin Phase 2, Admiral Beak ordered." Across 47 star systems, alien military bases suddenly found human warships appearing on their sensors like ghosts stepping out of the shadows. The ships were not attacking, they were just there. having somehow bypassed every defensive system the Concordat possessed. On the crystal homeworld of Kethfer, diplomat Velanash received an emergency transmission from their military command center. Impossible, they whispered, their crystal body flickering with stress patterns as they watched the tactical display. How did they get past all of our sensors? The answer was beautifully simple. While the Concordat had spent centuries perfecting their old technology, humanity had developed something completely new. The quantum stealth drives did not just hide ships from detection. They allowed the ships to exist in a parallel dimension where conventional sensors could not reach them. Dr. Kong, SEO, had solved the problem by thinking like a human. If you cannot go around an obstacle, you go through a different reality entirely. Sir, Intelligence Director Yunde reported to Admiral Beak. We are receiving panicked communications from all 12 Concordat species. They are demanding to know how we penetrated their defenses and got past their early warning systems. Open a communication channel to all Concordat worlds, Admiral Beak ordered. All frequencies, all languages. I want every alien in their territory to hear this message. The transmission that followed would be remembered as the moment when the balance of power in the galaxy shifted forever. People of the Concordat, Admiral Beak's voice echoed across dozens of worlds, calm and cold as winter ice. 3 years ago, we came to you as friends. We offered you our knowledge, our culture, and our alliance. You responded with fear, rejection, and ultimately, murder. On Zephyrian Prime, General Clickstar watched in growing horror as his tactical display showed. Human ships surrounding every major Concordat military facility. They had appeared everywhere at once, and his forces had no idea how they had gotten there. You created a blockade to contain us, Admiral Beak continued, his voice carrying across the galaxy. You told your people that we were a threat that needed to be caged like dangerous animals. Today, we are here to prove that you were right. Director Parkai, monitoring the operation from the hidden shipyard beyond Pluto, smiled with cold satisfaction. The Concordat was finally learning the difference between humanity offering friendship and humanity delivering justice. However, Admiral Beak's voice carried a note of controlled hope. We are not here for conquest or revenge. We are here for what we should have received 3 years ago: recognition, respect, and the right to exist freely among the stars. The ultimatum was perfectly clear and simple. Dismantle the blockade immediately. Issue formal apologies for the murder of the Wanderer's crew, and open genuine diplomatic relations within 72 hours. Or, Admiral Beak concluded, his voice becoming as hard as steel, you will learn exactly how dangerous we can become when you force us to be the threat you always claimed we were. On Kethfer Prime, diplomat Velanash's crystal body was flickering rapidly with panic patterns. They had spent 3 years preparing for humanity to try breaking through the blockade using normal military tactics. Instead, humanity had simply made the blockade completely irrelevant by developing technology that the aliens could not even understand. The response came within 6 hours: complete and total surrender. The Concordat agreed to every single human demand. The blockade was dismantled, formal apologies were issued, and humanity was invited to join the galactic community with full membership and voting rights. As ambassador, Kim Hanna prepared for the second first contact mission. She thought about the strange irony of it all. Humanity had finally achieved everything they had originally wanted: friendship, alliance, and recognition among the stars. But they had only gotten it after being forced to demonstrate the very military power that had made the aliens fear them in the first place.